Don't get me wrong.
Sure that we have the best portfolio because there will be different preferences by different people. And again, there will be different strengths. But as I sit here and I think about what we say and what I'm hearing as it relates to diversity when it comes to anything outside of making money. And to be clear, we are losing GDP every time we try to push back on this idea of diversity because all of us bring something different to the table. But you consistently said over and over the word oppression, and every time that you said it, it was almost as if I was hearing nails on a chalkboard because it seems like you don't understand the definition of oppression, and I'd ask you to just refer to Google to help you out. Oppression is the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. That is the definition of oppression. And so as I sit here as a black woman who practiced civil rights, let me tell you the reason that my colleagues wanted to make sure you understood the same black history that your side of the aisle wants to delete out of classrooms is because you can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression. We didn't ask to be here. We're not the same migrants that y'all constantly come up against. We didn't run away from home. We were stolen. So yeah, we are going to sit here and be offended when you want to sit here and act like, and don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed.
Wait a second. A white person can say he's oppressed when you're telling him something that he can do. But if he tells you something that you can do,
ain't nobody got time for that.
that is oppression. And the only justification is you're going to go to the past because somebody brought you over here. Did they brought you? Did they steal you? Did they? Or did your own people sell you and give you away?
Are you familiar that in that report, it revealed that children were pimped out by their aunt, which it turns out the aunt wasn't even related to the child, the so-called aunt. Are you familiar with that story that was in there?
There are a number of incidents that are reported in that Florida report. Some of them I can probably recall better than others. Some of them I would challenge and dispute, but that one I don't remember.
And do you remember the teenage girl that was in a house with unknown men with no private bedroom for her? Are you familiar with the sponsors that utilize a strip club in Jacksonville as an address for where a child should be settled?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that right.
Congressman, as I said, I don't have the information on that Florida grand jury report in front of me. I certainly can go back and take a look at it and try to get back to you.
I mean, it's hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. Do you agree with that?
I'm here to talk a little bit about the devastating impact of the failure of Republican leadership in Congress this week to pass comprehensive immigration change and the impact that will have on both city budgets and on services that we can provide for newcomers in the city. The second is we will start to have to greenlight a set of hard decisions about budget reductions across the city to meet those costs that we know will continue to arrive. We want to talk about two of those today. While they're the first steps, they unfortunately will not be the last and may not be the hardest. This is a plan for shared sacrifice.
That is an interesting analogy. Shared sacrifice.
And so in terms of our first step on city cuts, we are announcing today we will make some changes both to our services at DMV and to our services on Parks and Rec.
Denver Mayor Mike Johnson cut services for residents so he can reallocate funds for illegals. Now he has announced he's gonna protect illegals in his city and won't cooperate with Trump admin. Well, that's a shared sacrifice, alright. And that is why sometimes I believe we live under a tyranny.
Did you know that already back in 1840, French philosopher Alexis de Tocqueville very accurately predicted and described in his book Democracy in America what type of tyranny a modern population like the American one had to be fearful of? Because as Tocqueville predicted, tyranny in a modern democratic society like America would look very different from the types of tyranny that European nations had faced up until then in aristocratic societies, for example. Let me quote. It covers the service of society with a network of small, complicated rules, through which the most original minds and the most energetic characters cannot penetrate to rise above the crowds. The will of man is not shattered, but softened, bent, and guided. Men are seldom forced by it to act, but they are constantly restrained from acting. Such a power does not destroy, but it prevents existence. It does not tyrannize, but it compresses, enervates, extinguishes, and stupefies a people, till each nation is reduced to nothing better than a flock of timid and industrious animals, of which the government is the shepherd. Well, if that is not an accurate description of what actually ended up happening, not just to America, but to all modern democratic societies who have turned into absolute bureaucratic nightmares, then I don't know what is. Tocqueville was absolutely right, and that's why I'm so excited and happy to congratulate Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk on their appointments of the leader of the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, because for the first time in American history, now actively, there will be a government organization working against this type of tyranny that Tocqueville warned about.
And the left takes its vision seriously, more seriously than it takes the rights of the people. They want to be our shepherds, but requires us to be sheep. Let me know. Do you think we are sheep?
Just quickly, Russia's also threatened nuclear escalation. Are you comfortable with that when people at home are watching this, worrying that you could put us at risk?
Well, it's very
Nuclear war?
important. It's very important that we're steadfast in our support for Ukraine. Russia is the aggressor,
Even if it unleashes nuclear war?
Russia has to be the one that makes the move to stop this war. It's within their gift, but we must support Ukraine. It's impacting not just Ukraine; it's impacting the rest of the world, including the UK.
Is your message to viewers back home that there will not be a nuclear war, because that is what Russia is threatening?
My message is that we need to ensure that Ukraine is put in the best possible position. This is 1,000 days of conflict, and there is a very high cost if Russian aggression is seen to pay off. To do
Just
that.
quickly,
And I think the general opinion of most people in UK is, imagine hating your own citizen, that you flood them with illegals and then care more about Ukrainians than your own people. This man is completely insane. The fact that Biden just gave Ukraine permission to use their missile to shoot them in that direction when the UN is expanding in the direction of Russia, I find it rather wild that you would say they're attacking you.
No, because I actually find it hysterical how a lot of Republicans and Trump supporters like to say that colleges and universities brainwash their students to be liberal, when it's like, have they ever just stopped to think that maybe, just maybe, that people that graduate college and are educated with a degree are more likely to lean liberal because they're smarter? Just a thought. I can't with
Then why do you want people to pay your debt?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I don't know. I never try to study something because it's my human right to make bad decisions. I guess I'm smarter.
And I'd also just like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths. Your perversion of his words and his mission, when his children have asked you to stop invoking his name and perverting his work when he was a proud and unapologetic black man fighting for equality for black Americans and all marginalized people. So you all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. But I'm not surprised that you would deny American history. A colleague across the aisle invoked the phrase of, we must do everything to stop government-sponsored oppression.
I have a dream.
Do not be judged by the content of my character, but be judged by my skin color. I mean, that's what you're advocating for, the exactly opposite of Martin Luther King.
Which is exactly why we have legislation and an executive order to reverse this harm. And that is why I'm committed to opposing this bill and urge my colleagues to do the same.
This princess is a nice person. MLK fought for equality of all people regardless of skin color. She is perverting his message. Racism in any form should never be tolerated in any shape or form. I hope she's not talking about that. She should be expelled.
My Democrat colleague for exemplifying exactly the kind of oppression of freedoms that we're referencing. How about we'll quote whoever we want to quote? How about that's my First Amendment right? That's exactly the kind of baked-in oppression. Like, how dare a white Republican quote Martin Luther King? We actually had a congressman say that just now in this committee. Well, thank you, good lady, for once again exemplifying the type of oppression that we stand against. You know I'm right. You know I'm right.
Order. Mr. Higgins has the floor.
And we will quote who we please to quote.
A disgrace.
And we will continue to speak freely because now I'm a veteran. That's the country that I serve. That's a constitution I swore an allegiance to. And that oath has no expiration date. I will fight for it with my last life's blood. For my right to speak freely and yours, good lady. Power! You will never hear me saying, how dare you quote anybody you please to quote. And that exemplifies, America, precisely the type of institutional oppression that my colleague, Mr. Cloud's bill, for which I'm an original co-sponsor, hopes to push back against.
But since I turned red because I have an opinion, let me show you oppression.
Experts saying that Jordan Neely did not die from a chokehold. By the way, that testimony and that expert opinion is dramatically different from the opinion of the New York City Medical Examiner's Office. Now go ahead and take a look at this video here. This is the doctor. His name is Dr. Satish Chundru, and he is based out of Texas. He said there are two phases in a chokehold death. The first phase is unconsciousness. The second phase is death, and he testified that that is not what happened to Jordan Neely. He was also asked about the New York City Medical Examiner's Office's quality assurance in examining Neely, and his response was, if it did have quality assurance, it did not have it in this case. He said the medical examiner's office reached its conclusion without having all of the important evidence. Now, Daniel Penny's defense team has maintained that Neely died as a result of being in a psychotic state, combined with having the drug K2 in his system, as well as having sickle cell anemia, which is a genetic blood disorder. Combining all of that with the struggle and the restraint, they say that's what killed him. Their expert agrees.
And I'm not saying everybody, but I know a bunch of people only heard the word Texas. And by that point, they just turned off the video because it was right-wing propaganda. But let me go in greater detail. Daniel Penny put a homeless felon in fatal chokehold to stop him from attacking passengers. His bill was $200,000. But then we have Mohammed Izzadeen that he had fun with the lady after breaking into her home and he was released without bail. Is that oppression?
Don't get me wrong, makosa tita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde kush hash purple skunk criollo colombici jam jam. Dur loqueta verdetta welcome.